All right, so today we're going to look at probably one of the most important formulas or equations that is used for cost control, and that's revenue minus expense equals profit slash loss. Easy way to remember that is rep. Rep is just the first letter in each one. And so that's the way I remember it. So if I ever get stuck, I'm like, rep. Okay, what's rep stand for? R is revenue, E is expense, and P is profit. And so we're just going to look at two examples on how this works. And this is Excel. There's also another video that is going to be by hand because, like stated before in other videos, and I'll obviously state it again, research has shown that when you write stuff down, you're more engaged and you'll remember it. Your memory capacity is much better, more effective. So definitely like print this out and then do it by paper, hand on paper by hand with a calculator, and then do it on Excel once you understand it fully, because Excel is just a tool to make your life easier after have gained a full understanding. So the first one we have last month, Lena's Pizza Parlor generated $58,500 in revenue. Her total expenses last month were $39,000. Create the formula Lana needs to calculate the amount of profit she made last month. How much profit did she make? So the formula is over here on the side. The revenue minus expense equals profit or loss. So there's the formula. We just need to figure out what was the profit or if she had a loss. So first thing is revenue. Revenue was $58,500. Just type that in. Expenses was $39,000. Type that in. And we're just going to tell Excel to subtract these. So it's going to be $58,500 minus our expenses, revenue minus expenses, and then hit enter. And so we had a profit of $19,500. That is the basis of most of this cost control. When you're dealing with revenue, expense, and profit, you're just taking your revenue, you're subtracting your expenses. As we get more detailed, the problems will become more specific. So there will be revenue and like expenses would be like food and beverage. There could be a labor cost. And the word cost is also similar to expenses. They're almost the same thing. And so the other formula is sales minus cost equals reserve. So that's another one that pops up as well. Number two, after her first month of operating Val's Donut Shop, Val computed the following revenue and expense figure. And so we have the figure here. Prepare both weekly and monthly profit formula so that Val has a good idea about her current profit situation. Also, given her sales for the month, tell her how much her ideal expense should have been to achieve her desired profit of $1,200. All right, so this is the other formula, is the revenue minus desired profit equals ideal expense. The purpose of this formula is you want to get a profit. You have a goal. So you need to figure out how much should my expenses be based on my revenue amount to get that profit. And that's what that formula is for. So we're going to look at first, we should figure out our profit and loss. And then we can add up all these totals right here. And then we're going to use that formula to figure out what the ideal expense should be to generate $1,200 in revenue. All right, so basically we can tell Excel to revenue minus expense, hit enter, and if you're savvy with Excel, if you drag this down, it will repeat the process for you. You don't have to keep doing it, and that's just a drag down method. And so we can see here that week 4 we had a loss. So Excel will put a loss sometimes in different colors, in this case red, because it's a bad thing, and in parentheses. And then if you tell it, you can make it a negative number by formatting the cell. It's not that huge and big of a deal, but if you go in here, so right now I'm on parentheses red, you can say just red without parentheses. You can make it a negative number, whatever you want. For the month, we can just add up the total. So you can do this 2 ways. You can just hit equals, click each box, and add them like this, and hit enter. Or you can say, oh, this is a sum. So let me type in sum, double click sum, and drag down the boxes, close the parentheses, and there you go. We have our total. We do the same thing here. Sum, double click it, drag it down, close the parentheses. And then even the last one, even though there's a negative number there, it still will calculate it because the Excel knows that's a negative number. All right, so there was a revenue total, our expense total, and our profit. And so now we're going to we want to know how much our expenses should be to make a $1,200 profit. So we know we want a $1,200 profit. And I'm going to write that like this so we know it's money. Oh, it converted it. Okay, it's fine. And then we know the revenue is just going to be this box because the revenue hasn't changed. We need to figure out what our ideal expense is going to be. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our revenue, like it says up here, and we're going to subtract our desired profit, which is our 1,200, and we're going to enter. And so we want our ideal expenses for the month to be $3,449 because we want to achieve the profit goal of $1,200 or $1,200. And so if you make sense of, if you go up to our totals before, we had our expenses were more than our ideal expense. And when they were more, what happened to our profit? It went down. So we kind of want to reverse this scenario and say, let's bring our expenses down so our profit goes up. And that is it. Thank you for watching this video.